I want to bring in senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky and ABC News legal contributor Kimberly Whaley for more. Aaron, this search warrant shows that the Justice Department is investigating the potential violation of at least 3 separate laws, including the Espionage Act. How concerning is that? And not only for the country, but also for the former president. And what, if any, consequences could he face?
Concerning, Diane, because so far the defenses that have been offered by the former president and his allies don't necessarily apply to the Espionage Act. He has said that he declassified some of the material. Whether that's true or not, we're still waiting for the evidence of that. Others have said that perhaps these were privileged documents, but the documents don't belong to him. They belong to the American government, the American people, and rightfully belong at the National Archives. And the Espionage Act says that it isn't about the classification level of the documents, it's about their removal, especially if they relate to national defense. So even removing documents related to national defense from the White House, bringing them to the former president's residence, could constitute a violation or a crime.
Now, Kim, as Aaron mentioned, Trump's team has claimed that he declassified the documents before he left office. Is that possible? How does that process work?
Well, in Pierre's excellent summary of the situation here, he mentioned Executive Order 15326, which is quite lengthy, and it has a very detailed process for deciding on classification, to determining when to declassify, how to declassify, and as was mentioned, there are several levels of classification. Just to be clear, there's nothing in the Constitution itself talking about classified information. So the idea, this is not one of those presidential powers that derives from that document. The system of classification is created by law, and it applies to presidents as well as regular people, citizens, lay people, people in the government. And the point, to just as a matter of logic, it's really important to follow that process so that people know if something is or is not classified. If something's declassified, it's marked declassified, so people aren't sharing stuff that is potentially grave to national security. So I just think this argument it's rhetorical, it's political, it's to kind of get stuff out on the internet to create a question. But no, it looks like in this moment that very thorough process was not followed, and there is no authority to just in your mind decide to declassify something as a president. That doesn't derive from our foundational document.
Zareen, what's the reaction to all of this in Washington?
Diane, you have those high-level House Democrats who are calling on the Director of National Intelligence to start investigating what those agents found. You have Rep. Adam Schiff, Carolyn Maloney. Over the weekend, they asked for an immediate review and damage assessment, and all of this comes after those classified documents were found in Trump's estates. You have Trump's lawyers, of course, insisting that they were declassified. You heard Kim just talk about that. Republicans, though, they have, of course, fallen in line with the former president. You have Rep. Elise Stefanik, who says that the FBI raid was a complete abuse and an overreach. You know, the White House, though, they repeatedly said that they don't know, they did not know about the search before. So really no surprises in this reaction, even though this story is just full of those surprises.
So, Aaron, what are the next steps here as they try to track this chain of custody of all these documents?
That's really important to understand whether the proper protocols were followed to even keep track of some of this classified material, because it does follow a specific chain of command. The intelligence community is going to want to know whether any of the material was somehow compromised. The FBI, we know, reviewed security camera footage from the former president's estate, and what they saw on that footage may have raised concerns that people had access to this material who should not have had access to the material. So they're trying to understand that. And of course, ultimately, the FBI is trying to determine whether any of this constitutes a crime in the removal of the documents and bringing them down to Florida, while they're also trying to determine what was to become of this stuff. Was it going to be the memorabilia of an ex-president, or was there something more dangerous or sinister intended?
Now, Kim, a Trump attorney signed a statement in June saying all the classified documents had been turned over. Obviously, we now know that's not the case. So how damning is that?
Well, whoever signed that probably needs to think about getting his or her own counsel or her own lawyer in this moment. The way this works with attorneys is that you have an affirmative obligation before you represent to a government entity or ultimately to a court one thing or another when it comes to facts. You have to do what it's called a reasonable person standard. And when you're talking about someone like Donald Trump with so many, thousands and thousands of misstatements on his record, the idea that you would just listen to your client and sign that is not going to hold water, at least in terms of the ethics. Now, whether there's criminal liability it depends on intent. And we just don't have enough information in this moment. But this lawyer should be worried right now.
All right, Aaron Katursky, Zerreen Shah, Kim Whaley, thank you all.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.